effort that you've put into making this channel go. So we just talked about this recently. It's just a couple days before or last week's episode. I don't know. I say show and episode. I don't want this. Yeah, I don't want this to come across as we're trying to make some sort of a TV drama. We're talking about the things that we're studying, and we're trying to do it live so that we can get this word out to as many people as we possibly can. The easiest, simplest way. So this seems to make sense. What did you think of last week's show?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. Actually, sorry, 1 second. I'm just getting my mic adjusted here. It was exhilarating. It was new. And I guess I'm still processing.
Yeah, it's going quickly. So we're trying to get together our information that we want to cover each week, and we're not short on topics, but I really want to thank you. You're putting a lot of work into, making graphics and stuff. And just want to say to everybody, Ronnie is in construction. I'm in construction. We're like both carpenters. We're not really radio or blog hosts. So we're doing the best we can right now and having fun doing it.
Totally.
It's cool putting something together that not only presents the information that we've been talking about, but tries to get it across in a fun way to digest.
Yeah, and I guess it's all kind of happening with the flow. That's
Yeah, so thank you, brother, for all the effort that you're putting into it. It's just going to keep looking better and better. It's awesome.
Yeah, I really thank you as well. And first and foremost, I thank the Heavenly Father, the Creator. It's just, excuse me, the more that we try to open up and explain things to people the way we're seeing them and express them back, I think the brighter the truth is going to shine. And some of your quotes are all time. You say you're just a carpenter, and you're not a writer, you're not a computer graphic designer, but you really do have some excellent work that you've done as well. And it's been a pleasure sharing it with the communities. Have you been outreaching quite a bit?
So I think this is a simulation. So I try to be as effective as I can in publishing, rendering, getting the message out to as many people as I can. And I know that you think the same way now, and I appreciate that your effort that you're putting into it. So I don't know, we're looking at new techniques, ways that we can be more effective, reach a larger audience, because so far everything that we've been covering, nobody's really contradicting the things that we're saying based on the merit of the evidence that we're presenting. It's usually some sort of different approach that people try to discredit what we're saying.
I haven't seen too many of those videos. The average hater and controversy type thing, but nobody's touched upon the oblique Mercator projection and how that's working. No one's really, I don't really hear too many people outside of Mark Sargent talking about the simulation theory. Now, I do remember Eric DeBay having a video saying that we were all basically just fractals of the Creator, or whatever light being that he's calling it, and we're just disassociated trying to find our way home. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Mark was he wasn't the guy that brought me into flat earth, but I've definitely gone through his clues and I keep up on his material, and he was really the first person to talk about it from a standpoint. And I mean, he's known for that. So I know he's been talking about simulation possibility more lately, and I would love to hear more of what he has to say on it. because he is the one that started, sort of allegorically, metaphorically, using the game, simulation games, all that to start describing what our reality might be. And well, I agree that it's a simulation.
Yeah, without a doubt. My experience with him is that whatever people want to say about Mark Sargent or Eric Dubay or even Jaron, I look at the information that they share, and that's what I judge my decisions on, and not on basically my first instinct. I have to filter things. So,
yeah, well, that's something that we want to talk about tonight, right? The filters of the firewalls.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a good thing we don't have the cell phone rule in action. I would have just lost some money there. Yeah. So basically, this week in Beyond Flat Earth, we've been discussing me and you together. I want this slide to change. Thank you. Basically, the filters that we need when basically sifting through the information in reality. So you've put together this slide here. I'd just like you to go over it a bit.
Yeah, well, this is so super basic. I was thinking about this yesterday. We knew it as a topic, but I sort of put it all together into a mental idea that I'd like to try to share with people. A common way of looking at this, referencing it, so that we have a baseline that we can reference things from. And so, what you and I are talking about right now has passed through a whole bunch of different filters. And we, filters, firewalls, it'd be fun to sort of intermingle techie type terms with what we're talking about, so that, you start making the connection to simulation verbiage, right?
Yeah. I guess you haven't seen the following slides I've brought into the show.
I haven't.
Okay, so that's going to be great. So the filters that the way that we see reality, so they pass through different stages you're implying here. So the first stage that me and you have, our first basic firewall, is basically the word Christianity.
Yeah. So that, first and foremost, if you put what most people have referred to as Jesus, which we refer to now as Yahawashai, the Son of the Creator, or the manifestation of the Creator here on Earth. That's who you and I serve, right? I mean, I don't want to speak for you. I know I do. We've talked about this, but I want your
Yeah. Oh, there's only one king for me, and that's Yahushua. And basically, the only person I'll ever bow a knee to would be the Father in heaven, which is Yahweh, and Yahushua's son. But me having to say that formality is just a mere fractal of infinite space in my heart for how I really feel about the energy that we actually are made of, the context, right? So without him, I don't think there is a way to see through anything. So your very first filter, your first layer, Yahushai.
yeah. So if we're talking to other people, if you're listening to this channel, if you listen to my regular channel, your regular channel, Ronnie, for the person listening to this, if they're not Christians, if they don't believe that Yahweh is their savior, well, we've made it's a crossroads. We're going one direction, they're going another. So it's a filter. So not everybody in this world is a Christian. In fact, there's more non-Christians than there are Christians. So I know already that I'm going to diverge with those people when it comes to that topic, and I put that first and foremost. Now the next layer 2, or firewall 2, I just have flat earth here, and this is where I got stuck, and this is where I approached you and asked you, how can we do this? Because on this layer, I've got flat earth there, but I really want to put all the big lies, all the lies in reality. So, I mean, this would be like 9/11 and dinosaurs and Sandy Hook and every one of those topics, like I went after math in my last video, and all these like major topics that we think are lies, that the typical mass media considered to be true, and the things that are taught in school and stuff like that. This is layer 2, where I've been a truther for a while, and
just a bit of feedback.
So-called, what's that?
Go ahead, you're clear. Go ahead.
Okay. I wear, like, somebody calls me a conspiracy theorist, and I feel good about it. I don't feel bad about it. Like, I've put a lot of effort into this, a lot of research, and I've made decisions based on the things that I've come across. So, when we get to layer 2 and the topic, the flat earth, I have that first. So this is a diverging point with, myself and you, and really a very large portion of society. And we totally split roads right there. But so with each of these levels, we're going to be narrowing it down to smaller and smaller groups. But there's a lot of information out there from the people in layer 1, from the people in layer 2, that is still valid, true information. And so what we were talking about is the question of, can we sift through what we would call shill or COINTEL type channels? Can we sift through that information and take the truth out of it and separate it from the lies? Because we know that's how they operate. They, it might be like 90% truth and 10% lies. And do we throw away the whole 90%, or do we figure out a way that we can sift through it? And so that's what these layers are to me, that if we keep running it through layer after layer, we get down to layer number 3. The first thing I have there is the sun and moon not doing circles over an AE map. And, this is something that both you and I have studied. The popular flat earth model with the sun and moon doing circles isn't, it's not possible. There's a lot of ways that we can disprove that it's doing that. We have up until the equinox this year, the spring equinox, to look at the angles of the sunrise and the sunset in what we call the southern hemisphere. And, it's definitely rising south of east, like way south of east. It's going to be getting closer and closer to 90 degrees east, to 70 degrees west. Then it's going to come up, and we're not going to be able to get those measurements anymore. We can do it with the moon every month, twice a month.
Bi-monthly, yeah. Well, I believe it's almost like an 8-day cycle.
Yeah.
It's actually squared. And just for all the listeners, if you didn't see the promo, not to plug my channel or anything, but the actual sunrise at the end of the video was the furthest distance that the sun will rise from my position throughout the year. And I didn't put the text in with that yet. I just wanted to let you know that I filmed that on the winter solstice. And yeah, so that would be the furthest away the sun would ever be rising, to my perspective, from, my area.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I'm glad you have that picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the other thing too. Anybody out there, the day that I took that, there was a gentleman walking his dog with his iPhone, and he was out there filming too. He was, everybody who's got a phone, if you want to get involved, just start rendering what you see, just share it with other people. It's not that hard to do. As long as, let's say, you keep, if you're here and you're searching for the truth, these layers that we're discussing with you are ones that we strictly do operate under.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
so that layer 3, we've got the sun and
oh,
moon. Not that's fine. I was
yeah,
just doing a refresh on it. Um, so Ronnie and I both think that the sun and moon aren't doing circles. So I'm saying we're at layer 4, firewall 4,
yeah,
and
firewall.
and so here we believe that the world is a simulation, and so really for the people out there that don't agree with us, that do not believe that this is a simulation, I just want to make sure that the context is very clear as far as the path that Ronnie and I have both taken here. And so this is the context. This is the way we see the world through these lenses. And what we were talking about doing is with this, trying to figure out a way to turn it into a flow chart that has this all spread out, where we actually take our positions on all these different things. So when we're hoping to get to the point where we can have guest call-ins on these talks that we're having. And so
Mhm.
when we're talking to you, it'd be interesting just to see, well, where do we diverge out of all these different paths and the things that you disagree with what we're saying or have a question about. Where is that path? Where do we diverge? So, we can take a close look at that issue.
Mhm.
Um, and you and I will talk about the way we see it, and it's up for everybody else that's listening to decide whether or not they agree with that path or if they're going to stay on a different one.
Mhm. So I totally agree. So if you see the slide that I've brought forth here, this is a a synthesis and respiration flow chart,
Mhm.
and basically, what it's showing is the relationships between the way that light moves and the way that the ether and atmosphere affect its flow. So basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to compare the blue chart. The blue arrows would basically be information flow.
Mhm.
Um, so the green would be good information back. The red would be bad information out. So and the yellowish orange would be basically bad information.
Okay.
So you can see how it has maybe like multiple ways that the cycle can connect. The important thing is that we try to find a way to filter it out, use what's needed, and basically we have to become photosynthesizers of information, and that's what basically we have. Like, so you take it, your brain, like these wires is plugged in, so you're just a receiver on the other
Mhm.
side of these wires, but these all have specific firewalls, exact paths, directed places that they have to go. Everything has to be so intricately designed, and
Mhm.
so basically, without a doubt, these types of things, like the way that the light, it's almost identical to the way that plants grow, um, and it's a another really interesting thing to validate the simulation theory, because all of these little factors, the level of symbiotic relationships between light and plants, there's no other explanation when you get down to the small scale that these two things exist, because it's coded.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were just looking at that one video earlier this week, with the "We Are from the Future,"
Yeah.
and it makes the point how, like if we go back to the spinning ball Earth model, how those light particles have to travel from the sun, photons, and with all the things, the particles in between the sun and the plant, that the chance that the photon would make it to the plant without hitting something is really impossible. So so that'd be knocking out all the energy. So yeah, that model doesn't work. Um, I went off on a tangent on you. There it is.
Sorry.
Are there contradictions, or is it the exclusion of the unpredictable element that is the source of creativity?
Yeah. So
I
basically,
don't see it as contradictions. The source of creativity is wow, that is deep. That takes you into, your non-physical thought process, the context of who you are. This is something that we're going to talk about tonight. Um, so the context is not the physical items of a thing. It's it's like a decision based on the content, the physical things. And so we are actually our non-physical thought process is a context creator. And so creativity is really sort of the essence of consciousness.
well, it's the expression of consciousness. And what I'd like to interject is um, the unpredictable side. So if everything is retrospectively done, so if we're thinking a moment after we breathe, but we already took the breath, we are retrospectively living. So
Mm-hmm.
I think jumping into Charles' statement about the unpredictability, um, it just really reaches home with me because that last second decision or the instant decision is really the key to jumping to the first stage, let's say before the firewall, and really getting to down to what reality truly is. I'm starting to ramble. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Yeah. So that instant is really like, if you want to go to like the Planck level, like the smallest, you keep dividing time smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the final closest instant of now that you can possibly get. And that is where the decisions that we're making are being rendered.
Yes. So that would be, um, I'm trying to think of it in a techie term. That would be your garden, your home, your field, your patio. I'm trying to think of a reference.
Mm. I know it's really, you got to pull your attention. This is something that so like I've said before, I went through the Eastern religions, the Buddhists that did a lot of meditation, that type of stuff, and on an instant of now, because there's so many distractions in our life that we have that they're always trying to keep us either stuck in the future, trying to predict what's going to happen and be prepared for it, or stuck in the past, either lingering in a good memory, or I don't know,
Yeah.
people wallow there too. Like I miss this, I miss this. So it all keeps you away from the instant of now, which is where things are being rendered. So that's what you got to be paying attention to, so that you're making correct decisions right now.
And I'll be the first to admit there's so many sidetracks and um, pesky annoyances along the way. So this is a very fine-tuned way of thinking. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve myself. And I'm only here to be a humble servant. But if there is an opportunity for me to jump into the now and really make something happen, and I would like it to be about everyone that's helping me, helping you, helping, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's when it happens. It's right then and now. Then and now. No, it's just now.
So again, with Charles, he stated here that he draws with colored inks. He's colorblind and he developed a style of cross-hatched lines and dots. He calls it pixeled, and he's been doing this for 47 years. And I'd love to see some of his work. And he says it's bright, exuberant, and the brain neuron patterns, electromagnetic energy, and sound waves. Like that is so. If we're expressing those sound waves, we can almost jump a level of expression. I wonder if we'd be able to do it without images or words.
I don't know. There's with technology now these days, being able to see what different sound waves and magnetic frequencies and stuff like that, the effect that they have and the patterns that they make. That to me really pulls together the whole idea that this is being expressed energetically, the simulation.
Well, the other funny thing is all these wires and everything that's being sent down the lines. It still doesn't explain the instantaneous moment of it.
You brought this up. That's fantastic.
So basically,
so we've been talking about this, how you're in Toronto and I'm here, and that this is all happening like we're talking in the same room.
Yeah, well, there's no delay. No. So if everything is governed by the code, they've I'm pretty sure science has gone back. They said that there was a something that was a quark or a quarkon or something, a radion. It was traveling a tachyon. A Star Trek Trekkie would probably know this right away, but
tachyon tractor beam.
Yeah. Well, they retracted the statement because quantum non-locality pretty much means that it's instantaneous.
So do you think light is instantaneous?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like bam.
So 186,000 miles per second, which you can only get that measurement in a vacuum chamber, which none of us happen to have.
What you mean, a large scale? The last time I seen someone go in one of those was the astronaut whose tongue started to boil. You'll never see me doing that one. Shout outs to that guy.
Yeah, truly. So I definitely have my serious doubts about the speed of light being what they tell us it is. Chances are it's instantaneous. Well, I don't know. But then through different mediums, it does seem to be its speed changed. I don't know.
Definitely. It's off and on. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so wacky today. It's so basically, if you had a clock that was entangled with my clock, metaphysically, your clock is turning counterclockwise and my clock is clockwise, and at the moment my clock moves either way, yours does the opposite reaction, instantaneous, 180 degrees reaction. So, and I'm pretty sure this is testable, and the more we can understand this type of phenomena, well, Tesla was pointing some of his machines towards the ground. Have you ever seen the satellite phones where you lie down like a rug?
No, I haven't.
So basically, it's like a large computer chip on like a tarp, and you just spread it out, and the signal gets shot into the ground, and it's like I'm pretty sure it's probably faster than bouncing it off the atmosphere.
Well, as it is, the fact that we can have this conversation right now without latency, and I don't have a good internet connection. I really sort of just scrape by here. I'm out in the country, and yeah, we talk back and forth without having any problems. It's ridiculous.
And then so
with video.
Yeah, with video. So what do you think the code is behind all that? Is there a code?
Um, so the way I've seen things, because I think this is a simulation, I, we have to build a physical representation of things that sort of like fits the bill as a suitable tool for a thing to work. And so we build out these physical tools in this world, and with them, I build homes, and you build commercial buildings and stuff like that. But I don't know. You can go to an underlying level that so it's all code that we can render things through our mind that do just manifest in this world without having to go with the full physical retailers. Based on the things that we hold in our mind and try to render into this reality. If anybody's gone the meditation route, it's sort of a new agey route, but one of the things that you learn from it that we're talking about tonight, the way you can filter through things, is that the things that you hold in mind tend to manifest. It's just a fact of life. It's not a new age philosophy. It's something we should have been told in kindergarten. Things that you hold in mind tend to manifest.
Well, so basically that brings up me filtering through things as a servant of Yahushai. I have had my the Celestine Prophecy was one of my inspirational books, and I've heard other YouTubers and critics talk about it, but at the core of the story, it actually shined through all of my filters.
Yeah, that's when the path is true. It goes through each one of those gates, like those wires that you were showing. It makes it all the way.
And I believe this is achievable. And the other thing I wanted to ask you was, I heard that everyone's cell phone connections are actually what are creating the grid of this system that we're discussing right now. Did you know that?
You mentioned it briefly, and I started to like let the processor run on that. And yeah, it's so back in the day, this is like early 90s, I was building computers, and person in my circle of friends, people that I knew that built a RAID system. So you had this redundant array of independent disks, and so there's different fail safes that you can do with it, where you can protect information and you can add like error correction and stuff like that by having all these independent disks doing different tasks but tied together. So yeah, with all the cell phones sharing all this information, I mean that surely has to shore up their network, even way better than their physical cable network.
Yeah, it is the network.
It is the network.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is the network.
Totally. And a great proof of that, as well as simulation theory, is that there's no one with cell phones out in the oceans. So you don't have any GPS tracking.
No.
There's no people there. So
the network is broken because, yeah.
Dare I say that the people are the network, and this is another gate that I think there's a lot of flat earthers are willing to come out. Oh, it's flat. Yep. I've even heard some prominent names suggesting that it be a realm And this kind of thing I'm highly suggestive of. Anyone out there that has understood that they live on a flat stationary plane, and they're out there fighting to get this truth out there, I commend you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great battle. Um, and it's like the route you have to go through. For us, we go through the level 1 Christianity, then 2 flat Earth, and then 3 that the sun and moon aren't doing circles. So the popular flat Earth model doesn't work.
Mm.
But
And we can elaborate on that at other times. Um, and people can just check the videos, especially you've done some great work. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was so if we understand in the simulation that the people are the connections and the web or the context, all you got to do is think about connecting and reaching other people. You don't have to even take out your cell phone and take pictures. That just like plugs you in when you start getting involved and taking a look at the sun's path and the moon's path. And um but just thinking it, and I guess when we're fighting against a system that's set up to not voice our message, I have to do something that I don't really do. And this is a call to anyone that's interested in my art and my expression of life. Please share Jason's videos and my videos and help us make some more connections, because we're doing a lot and we're trying as hard as we can. And our paths are being blocked and unplugged and switched off, and we just need more help. Um, please share the video, make a video, tag me in it, share the video with me, anything, please. And I'm only begging because I feel that we have a limited amount of time in this simulation. So I'm trying to get out to as many people as possible. And I'm going to hand it back to you. Thanks, Jay.
well, no, you're absolutely right. I absolutely want people's help for like 2 big reasons. One, we can use your physical help and all the things that like you might have studied something that Ronnie and I haven't, that is very relevant to this, that you can input into this. That's fantastic. The other reason why I really want your help is because the process of doing something is how you make it your own. Like you learn it. So everything that we've ever learned in our lives, we've had to actually do it. And so it's sort of a backhanded way. I'm asking for help because I want you to do it so that in the process of doing it, that it sinks home and you really learn it for yourself, because that's when it becomes your own. The truth becomes your own when you've actually gone out, tested it, and it works out. So
Yeah.
please, please, please do that.
So I guess I'll get back into the slides. I'm just going to go back a bit because I always like taking a look again.
Yeah.
Um, and actually getting these cables plugged in the right spots. Trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to go over with last week's broadcast.
Well, so like last week's broadcast, we talked about the 5 different points that I feel are the easiest ways that we can hone in on the fact that this is a simulation. And
Um,
so did you picture that?
I can check.
I sent it to your Gmail. Because those 5 points, the first 2 points are the photographic evidence of how close things are, and the second thing is the angles of like the sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset. And I snapped a picture of tonight's sunset. That if you could present that picture,
Oh, sure.
um,
Oh, yeah. Um, Yeah, that's really nice.
It wraps up both topics in one if we just sort of give it a little bit of a look and study.
Does it sit here?
That's it there. So
Beautiful.
if you can sort of keep it, if you can sort of keep it full frame so that we can get there. So this is a picture taken with an iPhone that it's not zoomed at all. And so everybody that's familiar with the picture, there you go. And if you look at that spot of bright light right there, it's not very big. I pulled out, the compass app on the iPhone, and that space in the sky from side to side was definitely less than 3 degrees of the sky. If you have a 360 degrees circle around you, that was definitely less than 3 degrees. Because the full width of the sun is like 0.51 degrees, and that's really just like three, maybe four sun widths right there. So I mean, if you look at how small of a spot in the sky that is, the popular flat Earth model with the sun and moon doing circles has the sun south of the equator, coming back from the Tropic of Capricorn right now, and so they say it's 3,000 miles high, and then it would be another like 3,500. I don't know. It's the hypotenuse to whatever that angle is there. So who knows? Maybe 4,000 miles from where I'm taking the picture is
It's
supposedly where the
its trajectory is like that,
sun's supposed to be going. Yeah,
and not
yeah,
not
it's coming down like that.
it's not going like this,
No, it's not.
or even let's say like that. No, it's
No, so actually, if you look at the horizon, right where the sky meets the ground out there, um, I'm on very level ground out here, and so I know that should be like 3 miles where the sky meets the ground. So
yeah.
real
That's
simply, if I built a straight road from where I took the picture right to the center of that bright spot,
mm,
if I drove 5 miles, I'd be past. I'd be past that bright spot in the sky. But actually, what happens is when you drive the 5 miles, it moves with you like a rainbow.
it's non-local and local at the same time.
Hmm.
What's also interesting about that
Yes,
statement.
graphically, it's so close. I mean, look at those clouds right there, and just know in your head that they're not 10 miles away. You wouldn't see them like that.
Well,
They're,
that
they're
brings
less than they're less than 3 miles right there, right?
yeah. How can you pull in the sun and the clouds and the moon, but a building or an object 10 miles away is pixeled. So you get
Right.
nothing. You get that.
Well, this is an iPhone picture. It's not like the P900.
It's still quite a nice picture. What do you mean? Look at it, it's beautiful.
It
But
is nice. I like the reflection off the water. I was trying to figure out. I was wondering why the color was shifted to the right of the brightness. Apparently, the bounce angle of that bright spot isn't showing up in the water. It's showing the pink of the sky above it there.
here,
Yeah. So like if you zoom back a little bit, you see where the bright pink is in the sky above.
mhm,
Yeah, up there. So then it's got that bright pink down there, but the bright white spot of where the sun is, that's not doing any reflection in the water right now.
yeah, it should, right? It's
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. Like I was expecting to see that.
I guess for me, it all goes back to the circle. Um, Everything is a circle around you, um,
Yeah. Well,
except
and
except for the boundary lines of reality. They're not.
so the point one out of the 5 points is this is definitely close. That's super close. And point two, the angles. So I looked at timeanddate.com, and it said 259 was the angle of the sunset for me. I pulled out the iPhone and I lined it up, and it said 259. And then, the width of it was less than 3 degrees. So the angle is on at 259. It's way south of west. But the interesting thing is when you go to, I didn't double check this, but I've seen the pattern already, so I can sort of like predict it. So we could go double check it and see how right I am. But if you go to 30 degrees south latitude, I'm at 30 north latitude. We should probably see 259 degrees for the angle it's setting. So it moves back and forth in the northern hemisphere, quote unquote hemisphere, and southern hemisphere. Those angles do move them back and forth with each other.
Yeah, in a cycle.
Yeah.
Along this. I'm pretty sure. No, that's the sky. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So, if you're North America, maybe I could show the oblique. Do I have it here? So basically, this line here. So if you're sighting it down here, the sun is moving back and forth between these two lines, right?
Yeah. The equator, you can see where Quito, Ecuador is. So that's how I find the equator. You're
Yeah. Pardon?
Well, I was going to try to get you right on the equator to point that out to people.
Oh,
Yes.
Isn't
That one right there.
Yeah.
Yep. And so if you point that out, so we've shown this map before, and I've had some people say, they're trying to get their head wrapped around it, and I totally understand that. This isn't like the type of map that we're used to looking at all, is it?
No. Well, if you've ever taken shadow measurements, genome measurements, or gnome, I don't know how you pronounce the word.
Yeah. Shadow measurements, like you're planting a stick in the ground and
leveling it up.
Yeah.
Gridding out your east, west, north, south, your cardinal directions. Then each hour you lay the paper out, and each hour you put a dot.
Like a sundial.
Basically. And the flow chart you end up with looks like this. So it's pretty
simple. Why would that happen?
I don't know. It's fluke.
Can we go back to that one more time?
Sure.
Let's spend a little time on this.
Okay. Yeah.
So the prime meridian.
Do you want to screen share this? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. I gotta quit smoking. All the information needs to render, and the nicotine seems to be what I pretend is my trigger. And I'm sorry about that, audience. Kids don't smoke. So the prime meridian is right here.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, this line.
That one.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so what we've been talking about is how these lines right there would be longitude, right? And how it divides Australia to Eastern and Western Australia. And actually, if you look on like the globalist maps, they have
the popular ball map.
Yeah, they have Antarctica divided into Eastern and Western, just like that.
Bam.
And
Go figure. And the travel routes are definitely specific to this um, scaled up map. They're not going to be looking at a ball.
Hmm. So these curved lines, like the latitudes, the wavy lines that go from east to west, west to east, that these lines actually would represent the magnetic lines, and then the longitude lines that go from the two Australian points up to a northern pole. That would be your going north, and
Oh, sorry. It just helps sometimes to show both.
yeah.
Um,
And so you're the one. Can you describe what those color paths are representing?
well, in my humble opinion, they uh, they represent the gates, the delineated spaces um, for these heavenly bodies to pass. And if you've ever done any work with the compass in a square, um, there's some things on this picture that should just jump right out at you.
Hmm.
Uh,
And this is what you showed us wrapped up in Blender on a sphere, and showed us how those lines with
yeah, you,
that pattern right there,
mm,
how when you wrap it on a sphere, they turn into just straight lines. So this is something that I'll be covering in mathematics. It's the room line, RHUMB line, and you'll see how it's a curved line on a flat two-dimensional map and a straight line on a sphere, and it's actually what navigators use when they're plotting points. So it tells me that yeah, their sphere is the correlation between the translation between 2D and 3D is what navigators are being taught to um, compensate for
mm,
when they use room lines. So yeah, that's awesome. So it shows how if you could spread open the view on the left a little bit so people can see. Yeah.
so
So that's like the oblique Mercator, the way it's laid out.
yeah, I think I have that as well.
But then when it's wrapped up, it becomes that nice croquet ball over there. So if you're a person standing on that two-dimensional map, but then the stars are rotating, the sun, moon, and stars are following the paths, the way those paths are like that, then if you envisioned yourself in three-dimensional space, um, the paths that you're seeing would all work out. It's why it feels three-dimensional, even though it's being calculated from a two-dimensional map.
Mm, so the room lines, um, I don't think I have it on this one, but they become straight lines basically. Maybe it's this one. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's got the flight on it, Perth
Yeah.
to Hawaii.
Um, but so as you can see this this bend, and it's also funny how it kind of looks like a horseshoe.
Yeah,
Just some other
or the Omega.
yeah, just some other ways to look at so let's say my pointer is the sun, and so the green line here, this is your north, this is your meridian, and also your celestial axis, which connects from anywhere basically towards the center. Now that, see, for me, I guess if there's anyone out there that could take journeys beyond, I guess my train of thought would be I'd love to take a trip to Antarctica or even north of me.
Oh man, wouldn't that be? I'd love to do the adventure thing. So if you could go back to the oblique Mercator, I'll tell you the trip that I want to try. This will prove once and for all whether or not we're on the right path or not.
Mhm.
So I was talking to you about how the trips to Antarctica all seem to come out of Ushuaia, Argentina. And there's a few trips that come out of Australia, like Sydney, and a few trips that come out of New Zealand, but those are very, very long, arduous trips. Because if this is the map, and we think it is so far, the trip, if you could just take your pointer and take it from like Sydney and go east to the edge of the map. So like count those squares. You got 1, 2, 3, and then jump over to the other side here. And then you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you're into those islands that
Sorry. I clicked
go
destinations.
to Antarctica.
Yeah,
What's that?
yeah. There's about, I think it was 13 when we took a closer inspection. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 to
Yeah,
Ushuaia. So it'd be, I guess, 10 as well to, and this is the inlet, right? You said
that's that peninsula that has the islands that they always go to.
the Duck Beak.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
and then if you take a look at the trip from Ushuaia to those islands, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, right?
yeah.
So the trip that would really prove whether or not this map is the correct map to me is the trip from Cape Town, South Africa, towards the islands of Alaska. So I want to get on a boat. I want to get on a boat and I want to head south from
South.
South Africa. And I want to see if I get to the edge right there where you just were. If all of a sudden my compass flips and it go,
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
it's all right. For one of those.
Sure. 1 sec, of course. Hopefully, you can hear me.
I can. Yeah. I'm going to treat my nose again.
No problem. It's the season. Sorry, everybody. Just had a bunch of things going on, so I could have more slides presented. But sorry, sorry, everyone. I just some things basically we have to do on the fly every now and then. So you want a declination map? Is that correct?
Yeah. We sort of had a rough technology week this week, haven't we?
Yeah, it's had its peaks and its plateaus and its valleys.
Yeah. So I'd like to share a wonderful experience that I had today. I got contacted by a subscriber who happens to live in Austin, and we met up for coffee. And wow, 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 wow. He's a flat earther, and he's following the Beyond Flat Earth material, and wonderful, wonderful guy. And so, like at the end of the conversation, there was a couple things I was hoping that would come of the meeting. One of the things that I mentioned was, would he be interested in creating some sort of a meetup, hangout, flat Earth thing here in Austin? Sort of the two of us working together to get something going here. And so he's like, yeah, but I'd really like to sort of have the conversations be more like what we were talking about here, which is actually beyond flat Earth, like our channel. So he he's definitely on board, and that really excited me that we've seen flat Earth actually get something going that was beyond flat Earth as well. So exciting, yeah. Get something going here in Austin, and hopefully we'll get like a ground movement, people actually meeting up, getting to know each other. Flat Earth has been around long enough now that I think we'll be able to pull a decent crowd for that. And like we sort of started the show out, there hasn't been too much pushback on the material that we're covering, as far as, you know, people saying, well, that's not true. We're just not getting that complaint right now. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I haven't seen any debaters or debunkers, but I have heard you know, other YouTubers discussing the topics, which is I fully commend. I'm going to pull up a map here, and I'm going to give you the floor, and I'll be right back. I'm hoping I can nail this down for viewers at home in the next half of the broadcast. Here, I'm just going to share this. Here we go. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So basically, what we're looking at.
Oh, can you go to that Mercator one that's bottom row, second from the right? Second from the right.
This one. Right?
Yeah. So we're stuck a little bit using the imagination because the polar regions are spread out because of this being a scroll Mercator style. I try to take this map and twist the continents into place like they are in the oblique. And so really so that's pinching the top along this map here. I would pinch that, and then you'd have to twist the sides around to come around and meet each other. And well, if there's somebody out there that can help us figure out how to move these magnetic lines of declination to the oblique Mercator correctly, I think this might show us the same like latitude longitude lines that we're looking at. That would be where the compass points north. Those lines feed into that polar point on the oblique, and then it's spread out to the sides in what we call the southern hemisphere. One point in Australia, and it seems to come around, the waves come into the other corner. So
yeah, this is more like a diamond projection unfolded than a sphere.
yeah.
Or it's actually a cylindrical expression.
Yes.
So what they've done is they give us 3 grids, and they overlap each other. And when you zoom in, you move from one grid to another. And the thing about the magnetic declination is the grid. Like, so basically everything is parallel lines except for how they are interacting as far as I can see it. And again, I'm just an everyday guy. Please verify anything I say. Please, in the comments below, if you have anything that you can add or debunk or disprove or prove, please do. So all we're saying is that it seems very logical that this expression of the Earth that we can measure and travel to best works laid out like this. It explains the seasons, the sun's path, the sky. It explains declination, explains the room lines. It has 4 corners. It lines up with all the scriptures with
yeah, so filter number 1 or firewall number 1, it's got to line up with the scriptures, right?
Yes, that's correct. And it has to have 4 corners. And you kind of get the mindset when you hear him talking about setting the bounds for the waters. And, you know, the scriptures definitely state that the compasses and the bounds were measured. You know, he set his compass upon the face of the deep. So basically, your 3 points, or all the Masonic. See, this is again where you have to discern the difference between truth and lies.
Yeah.
You get the Masons; they occult everything, and they know a lot of the.
So then you don't know what to trust, right? If it comes from the Masons, then you just got to automatically reject it, right?
Well, remember the light that shines right through all of the filters, all of the firewalls, is the truth.
Is the truth.
It just blasts through everything, and the sine wave.
What can darkness do in the face of light? Light just shines in, and the darkness is gone.
Yeah, just throughout it. And the sine wave, or the sinusoidal pattern that you see in front of you, crossing where the equator crosses the meridian, is very represented, as if that's the correct word, in life.
Represented, yeah.
Represented, thanks. Representation of the documentation of the data. A huge shout out to Mark too, because Mr. Sargent said that he's a stats guy. Well, I think if everybody took a look at the stats, we'd be a lot further ahead than shiny circling suns, and but and then another huge shout out to anyone that's willing to question the fact that it could be a realm that you live in, like Tesla said, and if you can come to that understanding, jumping to the simulation is not far.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna have to keep showing that map over and over and over, so people can get a grasp, start soaking in. Non-duality, or did we miss Mandela effect?
You want Mandela?
Come on, we gotta throw in some Mandela. So I'm gonna throw out a shout out to Extol Yeshua Always. This is a channel that is covering the Mandela effect as it's related to biblical changes, which in my opinion are absolutely the most important for us to be considering. It doesn't really matter whether or not it's Berenstain or Berenstein. Bible changes, that is important. And so this is a channel that I've been listening to for a while, and one of the things that I like, she's been saved for like 30 years. She's read the Bible a lot. She knows it well. And she admits that, she's going by recollection. So we all know that our memories are not perfect. We all do make mistakes. She recognizes that, but she does a lot of study on this. And she's gotten to the point now where she's got, this people that are pulling material just faster and faster.
Why don't you send me a link to the scripture we were discussing the other day, if you wouldn't mind, while we discuss this. And yeah, huge shout out to Extol Yeshua. I just wanted to say to her that if this broadcast could make it to her, not to worry about the people that are copying her and all that. Just don't let it through those firewalls, and keep doing what you do. She doesn't, in my opinion, my humble witnessing opinion, seem to be preachy or pushing any narrative. She is just pointing out the scriptural changes, and it's been such a blessing to hear her channel. And I don't think I would have felt that way unless I understood that these filters in this simulation work this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. I was just one of her videos recently. She pointed out how Noah and his family, they got in the animals, they got in the ark twice. So I was familiar with his account, and it didn't happen twice in the account. But now when you read the scriptures, the story is told twice. It's there. You can go read it yourself, but then you got to ask yourself, did the scriptures say it twice, or did it say it once? And so I know it was once, and
And it was tablets, not tables.
it was tablets, not
How,
table.
how would Moses have carried tables down the mountain? Oh, I guess you'll get the pundits with the help of God.
So I have gotten a comment that we're laughing about stuff like this, and I understand. It just hit me. It's become ridiculous to me, but for somebody that's just waking up to this, that the scriptures can be changed. Um, no, that's not a laughing matter. It's very, very serious, and that's the reason why we are talking about this, standing up for this. What I believe to be true, to make people aware of that the Mandela effect is going on, and because the types of changes that we're seeing, the changes in printed, paper and ink Bibles that have been sitting in people's homes, either just untouched or protected. People know that nobody came in and made any changes. Yet you turn to those Bibles and things are changed. So that speaks massive amounts for the fact that this is a simulation. Because how else does that happen?
Yeah, I shouldn't really laugh. Being someone who fell in love with the scriptures,
Mm-hmm.
for me,
It's heart-wrenching.
retrospect. I just worry about the person. Well, like I said to you before, the 10 people that I know who say they could you tell me a translation that I'll be able to understand? And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, they say that the old English, or they just can't read it, and it's terrifying for me to think of what's going to happen now, because you shared some scripture with me that was like, it was literally just falling apart.
You want to go over that? That was
Yeah.
that's where my name is in the Bible now, where I know it was not in the Bible as I was growing up, because I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I sat there at the meetings 3 times a week, sitting with a Bible in my lap, and once I could read, I was checking to see if my name was in the Bible or not. And they were study Bibles with indexes and all that kind of stuff. So
You got a link?
well, it's Acts 17:5-9. In what we want to look it up in is the 1611 King James. And so this is something that I've been saying to you, that the King James seems to be the one that is taking the most flack. It's the most under attack. And my speculation is that it's because it's probably one of the more most accurate Bibles that we can possibly use right now. The more modern Bibles have been translated from distorted texts already, so Satan doesn't have to go far to he doesn't really need to mess those up as much as the King James.
Well, brother,
Yeah.
you want to know why I laugh?
Why?
Well, because it was, don't you know? Were you not there? It was told you could destroy pieces of paper, but the word will never be destroyed. It will live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was told that this day would come. So I laugh because I know the time is short.
Yeah. So let's see, 17:5. Can we go up a verse?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, here we go. This is it.
Okay.
Yeah, starting with maybe 4. If you can sort of center that up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I started reading this with you the other day. I was sort of clowning around. Now we know that the 1611 was written in different English than we're used to using right now. But as we go through here, you're going to see that the letters are actually like breaking down. It's like the matrix is falling apart and crumbling. So these words that have been they're not, it's not that they're not spelled right. They're not even like words anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this in sort of a goofy way. And it says, and this, some of them, and consorted with Paul and Silas, and of the Greeks, a great multitude, of the chief women, not a few. But the ease which not with any to them certain lewd fellows of the baser sort, and gathered a company and set all the sea vapor and assaulted the house of Iason and sought to bring them out to the people. And when they found them not, they drew Iason and the brethren, the rulers of the city, crying, "These that turn the world up are come hither also." Do you see what's going on? These words have been mangled. They're falling apart.
Yeah, it's breaking down into nothing.
Yeah, there's so many spelling errors that and they're not even real words anymore. What's going on?
I guess, it was prophesied that the Holy Spirit would leave, or even that the word would be turned away. A higher scriptural understanding that when Yahushua was nailed to the cross and hung, they as well, they hung the true scriptures up. And there's not too many times you've seen Yahushua angry, but when he was confronted with those deceivers and liars, he snapped. Right, stuff started flying across the room, and they all got told to leave with lashings of a whip. And
he stands up for the truth. He's a warrior. He's a warrior for the truth, for justice.
So we know that they've done this, and they're going to keep doing it. And retrospectively thinking, I laugh because I know the end.
Yeah,
it's where it started.
Yeah, so the game has been won, but we have to. So it's like a chess game. Of course, the Freemasons have occulted chess, but for somebody that knows chess, there's a point in the game where once you take like a last key piece and you have an advantage, you know that you can't lose the game unless if you intentionally throw it. You've got the firepower, but you might have to walk the other player's king all across the board and move your pieces into different positions to finalize the checkmate. But you know that the game's been won already. It's just a formality, walking through the steps. And so I feel like the things that you and I are doing right now, having these hangouts, making the videos that we're making, this is part of the formality of walking through the steps, and we want everyone, the listeners, to walk through these steps and to correct us where we're wrong. Ronnie and I do not claim to be infallible whatsoever.
No, I actually thrive on making mistakes and challenge anyone to point out all of my mistakes, please.
Well, it's a shortcut to the truth, right? So we get everybody's help correcting us where we're wrong. So we just boom, 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 correct those, and then truth arrived at quicker.
Boom. Quantum. Like a plant just knows to grow from the sunlight. It doesn't have to be told. Keep everybody focused that you are the broadcast. You are the connection, not these wires and this plastic stuff. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up with you. The word synthetic.
Yeah, it sounds like alchemy to me.
Well, I've commonly thought this, and not to Eric Dubay, and I questioned the ball earth in grade 4. Um, I actually have thought retrospectively, um, how could something be fake or synthetic? Everything comes
Man-made.
from comes from the matter involved with our plane, our face of the earth. And I dare anyone again, please show me one proof of any material that's foreign to the code that we exist in, that we can measure every day. And could you add there?
That it's man-made, that it didn't man didn't use any of the natural resources that exist here, the minerals, you know, how can you make something from a material that doesn't exist here? It's it came to me the other day when I was painting. I told you the story.
Mm.
I've got this can of latex paint there, and I'm thinking to myself, latex paint, and the word association, latex went straight to condoms, and I think to myself, what does this can of paint and the condom have? What's the common thing here? So looked it up, and if you look up, it says that the latex is a synthetic. Well, it can be made from plant-based materials, but then it goes on to explain how most synthetics are man-made. I'm like, man-made? How could if it's plant-based, they say it's plant-based. This is how we came to. And that right away, I was like, well, then they're not going to make it chemically if it's plant-based. They're just going to use the plants.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, I'm like, if they're just going to use the plants, then that's all they have to use. They can't start with something that doesn't exist in nature. So anything that says it's synthetic or man-made is by default alchemy.
Yeah, and just parts of matter, not synthetic.
Oh yeah, this concrete's another one that I've looked at. If you study concrete, this is what I grew up doing. Is the process by which concrete sets, I believe they call it hydration. And so when you think about hydration, make it send, you won't find much information on it. It seems like it's an alchemy process, especially when you go into the research and find out how they make the Portland cement. And
Yeah, well, I could
it's
comment.
alchemy.
Well, I build upon it, and a lot of times I have the walls up and stuff while they're still curing. So what they'll do is they'll hose it down after the concrete dries, and they float it with all the machinery, which you probably are well aware of. They cover it with plastic, a thin layer,
Mm-hmm.
and then they hose it again, and then they leave it for 2 days like that. And I guess the alchemic processes continue until then, or do they continue to infinity?
What the biggest, like around 28 days, it's done a real good cure, but yeah, it'll keep curing for like 50 years or something. Yeah, it's all around us. Man has made a bunch of stuff.
So the other couple things that um, I'm getting the odd skeptic with the simulation theory is that I'm not saying matter doesn't feel like matter. That steak doesn't taste like steak.
Right.
It's the same. It's the context. Like I explain it to people like this. You can weigh a DVD, and it has its weight in whatever scale you want to use, and you could load that DVD up with multiple different types of expressions via pictures, movies, music, at multiple different things, and the weight never changes.
Mm.
So, that's kind of a
Information doesn't weigh much, does it?
no, it's there's no weight. And that's, one of the reasons why I believe that I live inside of a simulation. It's the CD is a construct for the bridge to the entertainment. So, um,
So
maybe
here's an exercise you can try, because you just realize that the information doesn't weigh much and that we're in a simulation. So then you can take a look at, like, what is the weight that you feel on your body, like what people have called gravity, that sort of wears you out when you walk around. You can take a look at it as an algorithm and see if you can fiddle with it and sort of adjust just how heavy you feel. The first time I tried it, like, there was a big release and I felt like really light, like I was gonna not like float away, but like the weight of the world was lifted off to me for a while. So
mm,
little neat things that you can sort of play around with.
yeah, I kind of do for sure. Um, so I can, uh, you know, uh, again, it happened to me today. I was doing some maintenance and stuff, and I swear I had my keyboard turned off. And I'm sharing this live for the first time. This is
Mm.
worldwide. Everyone can hear. So, I was in my editor working away, and I looked down and I'm like, whoa, my keyboard was switched off. Yet I was still typing and it was receiving on my screen. Now, if only I had screen shared it, right, with the camera pointed at me and then another camera to verify that camera with the sun's position all in the same shot, we would have had some verifiable proof that we were in a simulation.
That's awesome. We're gonna catch that. We're gonna catch that.
Yeah,
So
that's that now.
the more we think about this, the more that we relate to each other, the things that we're considering as potentials, possibilities, we begin to share in a common rendering. And so I see that as the linking up of all the nodes on the network, and that, yeah, it seems like we'd probably reach a point where we'd be able to communicate with each other, um, without the use of the technology, that we'll just be able to know how to establish that connection with each other.
Yeah. Well,
Do you know what I mean, brother?
yeah, that is my goal. Um, Shout out to everyone in the chat. Yeah, my goal has always been to do that exactly.
All right. So the fourth point, we hit Mandela. If we could go to the fourth point, non-duality, and maybe talk about the context just a little bit more.
Please.
So non-duality in itself is not a proof that we're in a simulation, but when you understand it, it makes it a whole lot simpler to realize that you're in a simulation. So there's some things that I learned in my study of non-duality that I find real beneficial in this. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how the things that the different content that you see in life, your consciousness is a decision maker as far as what you think the context of something is. So if somebody cuts you off on the highway, and that would be the content. You would see, like, the car moving in front of you, and you're reacting to the things that you see and hear, and you're taking all that content, and then your consciousness, the inner decider, looks at all that information input and makes a decision of how you're going to see that in reality. And so this is where people have talked about uh, people of like a high vibration, low vibration. So a person of a low vibration, when that car sort of cuts in front, the way they see that information elicits a certain response that's filled with anger, and they see the whole thing as negative, and they're going to lash out. A person of a higher vibration might see that exact same scenario in completely different eyes, and notice that metal never hit metal. The car swerved in front of you. You saw that. You reacted. You did what you could. No metal hit. No metal, and you're happy. And you may, say a blessing to Yahweh, or through Yahweh Shai, and uh, be grateful that nothing happened. And then the person just drives off. And so our consciousness decides the story. You look around, you have your body in this world that is connected to an information stream of the five senses. So all that input's flowing in, and you're deciding, you're writing the story, you're speaking the narrative in your mind. And so it's important to understand that you can change the story. And so we filter everything through Christianity, and with the idea that this is a simulation, the context that you see everything in, if you see it in a positive way, if you pray for the Creator to use you as an instrument to render things in this world through, you can sort of prepare your human vessel for things to be rendered in this world, and you might start seeing miracles. So
amen to that. I'm going to prophesy and say you will see miracles, and the limit is within each of us, just to realize that very fact that you can move mountains. And I'd just like to give a quick update for topics moving forward. And I think we should take a simulation shot at the theory of everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Could you share a little bit with our friends out there? What did you think when you first watched the Trey Smith videos?
You were breaking up. If you wouldn't mind doing that again, I didn't catch all of it.
The theory of everything with Trey Smith.
Yeah. So this is the reason why context is important, because we're going to be taking a look at not just Trey Smith's work, but a whole bunch of work, putting it through these filters, the Christianity, the flat earth, knowing that the popular flat earth model doesn't work and that we're in a simulation, running things through these filters, because like Trey Smith has so much good information in that theory of everything video. Man, I just hate to not use all that fantastic information. But then there's certain things like, he was referencing the dinosaurs, and so dinosaurs is something, I don't believe that the dinosaurs exist. So that's in that layer 2. Dinosaurs will be a decision tree there, where just because somebody believes that dinosaurs exist doesn't mean I'm going to invalidate all the work that he's done, because there's a ton of amazing stuff there. And so this is what we'd like to do going forward, is take some of these great pieces that we agree with, some of the material, and yeah, you are.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
And so I don't like dichotomies too much, but when it comes to people that are presenting information that, my filters are set to a different setting than the way they see the world. There's only a few options. They are either they haven't gotten the information yet. Like maybe he never heard that dinosaurs didn't exist and never even contemplated, looked into it.
Yeah, like
And then there's
2013. I wasn't.
yeah, I
I
hadn't
wasn't
heard
thinking
about
about
that.
it. No. So, and and then again, so that filter that you just spoke of, um, you could think of it like, have you ever heard of the Native American spider web that they hang?
Okay.
Well, it catches, bad spirits or whatever, and
The
then comes
spirit catcher, yeah.
yeah. So if you think of when, let's say, something the tray says, but not by fault, because we all fault, every man faults.
Mhm.
um it just, boom, it gets caught in that net, and the rest of the truth comes shining through, right? And so um I guess hopefully we can discuss the ways that we catch these, or the ways, like, here we know that this picture is a CGI rendering, right? But I'm
Right.
not going to take that away from the fact that he just explained how genetics work and how it 100% backs up with binary system coding.
Yeah.
Um, right down to the very fact that Yahushai came into the system to basically debug it, or you know, um,
Kill the
antivirus.
virus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had to go right into the file. He had to go right into the very bottom pits of the, you know. So, and I bless Trey Smith, and I ask that he be blessed more to share his great work with people, with or without the mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is why we wanted to cover, is it okay to use um what is labeled shill or COINTEL information? It doesn't have to be that. It can just be people that haven't come to understand a certain truth. Look at all the people that don't that think that they're on a spinning ball. Do we have to automatically reject everything that they say?
Yeah, yeah, no, because we were all there. Nobody's
Hmm.
perfect.
So I look forward. Let's take these videos and go through, and we'll pause it at certain points, and we'll run it through your filter, run it through my filter. We'll share what we're seeing there, which parts we would personally exclude, or how we might look at it differently, um and that'll show people where we are in that level 4 simulation. We'll expand that chart.
Yeah,
um
there's your Extol issue always.
yeah, yeah, she just
I prefer Yahweh, but you know what? Uh, it's not Jesus or Earth Pig. It's
yeah,
it's
it's
Yeshua
an
would be Joshua would be the closest,
mhm.
which is right, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I recommend people check out those Bible verse changes. um if you know the Bible well, and you trust your memory. So that's a big thing. This whole thing is designed to undermine faith in your own memory. And if Satan's able to do that to you, um, yeah, you're stuck if you don't trust your own memory. So you may not trust your memory on all matters, but there's some things that you surely have learned at some point that you can just put your foot down and say, "Yeah, I knew it was that way, and it's changed." And that's what's happened to me. So that's
Yeah,
the reason why I speak about the Mandela effect.
me as well, and you can witness to that when um oh no, my scriptures are good. I got the special one that was made by the people doing what I was doing and studying the old glyphs, and but no, it's changed.
Yeah. So another thing that we talked about was how, like, the apocryphal text. Um, this will be another branch in that decision making tree that we'll come across. That both you and I uh, feel it's a good idea to study the apocryphal text and run those through the types of filters, firewalls that we're going to be running things through. Number one, it's got to line up with Christianity. So if it doesn't meet that test, then we filter that out. But there's so much stuff that it says all scripture was inspired of the Creator, and we know that at the Council of Nicaea, they chopped out a bunch of books and left us with 66, another one of those occultic numbers. So we're going to go through apocryphal text as well and run it through our filters and talk about like the way you see it, the way I see it, and expand that decision-making tree and see how many people agree with the path that we take.
Yeah, and I'll be reading from the lost books of the Bible. I have the bound version. I'm going to bring that out live, and that should be interesting because those were closely related to the 66. Like they used to come with the 66 canon, just in a separate kind of folder.
Yeah.
It has the Apocrypha of Mary, and just a bunch of other really Yahushai's descent into Sheol. These things should have been covered, so it's going to be great.
I can't wait. So we're going to keep on working. One more thing. I'm going to start making what I call reference point clips in my videos. And so what these are going to be is a way of indexing things that I'm covering in my videos, so that like if I've covered something in a video already and it comes up and I might want to add
reference point. Bam.
Reference point. So it'll be a clip that all of a sudden pops up. It might be a little game showy, something that catches your attention, and then it'll show you the video that it comes from with a link to the time and stuff like that. So once I've made one of these, it'll just be sitting there waiting for me to use again some other time. So I'll be able to index up the videos that I'm doing, and so that it links all these ideas together, so that people that are just maybe stumbling across my videos now, they know where to go. So going forward, I plan on having reference point stuck into my videos. So just a little forewarning.
That was great. Good job. way to throw your voice. That was great. And it really does drive home that reference point.
And I don't know. We're pushing 2 hours now, and I'd like to keep it maybe around 2 hours or so. Keep it manageable for people. I know everybody's got a busy life. That there's all these awful requirements in Satan's world. We're slaves in this system, and Yahweh promises our freedom. So
yeah, amen. And if you're ever in a crunch, I suggest turning up the speed on videos a little bit. It's a practice that's really helped me, and you can learn to basically speed listen or speed watch as I can. So
yeah, it's like increasing your bandwidth. You're just like you're getting hooked. You're taking
simulation tip.
Taking a main vein on the info.
Yeah, just it can work. Yeah, man, I really enjoy our conversations. And the other thing was setting up a forum for Simulation Works. If anyone was interested, I know you had some ideas and some people out there.
Hoping to do a hangout this Saturday with Jonathan. We've talked about it, and I hope that all comes through. He sounds interested in it. Yeah, and the idea is to set up a truth-based forum that covers. I mean, it'll look a lot like this decision tree, right? That we were talking about. but the big thing is having the forum be Christian based and protected, so that Christians don't need a safe space like the mass media, like the way they show college students needing a safe space. It's just nice to have a conversation without people cursing at you all the time. So this is like an adult place to talk
Like-minded.
without people not being hateful, and being a repository of information that is totally transparent, and it'll hoping to have reputation based scores so that people that make good positive comments like have great reputations, and people that won't, so that you have a way to weigh different people that are participating. And love to grow a space where we can move the conversation off of YouTube, because we've been having some technical difficulties here, haven't we?
Yeah, I lost 400 and some odd views today. not that it matters, because
they're just playing with the numbers.
Yeah, well, I believe in the simulation that my broadcast goes like it's worldwide. So
Yeah, it just
good luck holding me down.
you're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man, fantastic conversation tonight. I'm sorry for all the technical glitches, and I wasn't quite on my game, but I showed up, and that's all we can ask anybody in the comments to do, to show up and share the work that we're doing, and take over. If you have any questions on video editing, information, websites, or search engines, please leave your comments below.
All right, thank you, everyone. Hope to we'll see you next week.
Beyond Flat Earth.
Woohoo!
Take care, everybody. Peace.